Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros MLB. It's time to talk some trades. It's me, Joey P. Joe Pisapia. With me, of course, is the Welsh. And, of course, sometimes we like to buy players just on principle. We've done that a few times. Last week, we talked about Corey Seager, but it's not just the veterans. Sometimes it's the youth of America as well. We get spoiled with these prospects when they don't hit right away. We're like Veruca in Willy Wonka. I want it now, Father. Well, you can't always have what you want.
I want it now.
I brought up a prospect and I want him to hit 500 right away. It doesn't happen that way. But if you're patient, perhaps you get that Nick Kurtz bounce. And we both want that out of Roman Anthony. Roman Anthony has been struggle bus at the big league so far, hitting 128 with a 562 OPS. But let's not forget, at AAA this year, he was hitting 288 with a 914 OPS, and he's a really good hitter. So once again, Welsh, it comes down to probably folks might have either drafted and stashed this guy, spent a lot of fab on this guy, they haven't gotten results, the pressure's on, and maybe all of a sudden there's a window to buy when somebody's been too impatient with Roman Anthony. I think there is that window, and I want him on my team still because I believe in Roman Anthony and I believe in where they're hitting him in the order. What say you to buying low on a big prospect in baseball who's now with the big club?
I do think there's a justification to end up doing it. We're looking at the profile. 15% barrel rate is really great. The sample size is still low, we're like under 50 at bats, but in that time, great barrel, solid hard hit rate, average EVs over 91, which is really good. Strikeouts, they've been a little bit of a problem. One of the things that really jumps out to you is the way that he's walking, though. He's getting on base. There's an 18% walk rate. Dude has walked in 5 straight games and has, 7 walks in his last 5 games. So, I mean, he's like, those are the things that are going to have pitchers start to adjust to you and change to you. They're not getting him to chase in certain ways. And then you add that to a profile that's like, well, there's some big hard hitting stuff in his game. He's underperforming against fastballs, which I think he can bounce back on. I think there's kind of a second half buy for Roman Anthony. We don't know what this team is going to look like. If they dismantle any more pieces, maybe he can move up in the order. It's weird to go and buy a post-hype prospect who's struggling, but in a deeper league, I do think it could be kind of a sneaky play to get him involved. Dynasty is a kind of a whole nother discussion. I also think he's a decent buy in Dynasty, but I don't think there's really anything that's come off of his value. In redraft, you probably have a lot of people deciding maybe I should cut him at this point, and I think there is a definite bounce back that's in his future.
Speaking of Dynasty buys, what a perfect segue, Welsh. You're such a professional. Kristian Campbell, the teammate, or was teammate at certain times of the year here for Roman Anthony. Kristian Campbell got sent down. Look, he was brilliant in April, awful in May, gets sent down in June. It sounds like a song. I don't know. But let's not forget, in the minor leagues in 139 games, he hit 327, 440 with a 549 slugging, a 989 OPS. He's a really good hitter. The league adjusted to him. He didn't adjust back. My guess is, Welsh, the normal pattern of Kristian Campbell goes to AAA, maybe after the All-Star break, gets another shot here, and that second time around is going to be much better. So in redraft leagues, I'm sure he's been dropped in a lot of leagues, but in deeper ones, maybe held on to, I would look to pry him away, hoping that August and September are better months for Kristian Campbell, because don't forget, the Red Sox made a financial investment in this kid. They extended him. Follow the money. It means they believe in him. Injuries could happen at any moment, too, where Campbell gets another shot, but I do think leaving him in AAA for at least a couple weeks to get right is a great idea. And I think he will get right based on the kind of player he is. So whether it's redraft in deeper leagues or even dynasty leagues, I think Kristian Campbell right now, for me personally, this is when you buy, because I think the profile is still really good. And I think the upside is still there.
Secret sauce in dynasty. Not all dynasty leagues, work like this, but if you're in a league where you got just anxious owners and stuff like that you have this great prospect who struggles, and this isn't like the Roman Anthony one. This is he was up, and then when sent down, it's a prime opportunity to see if you can go and get that, and you can go and buy on him. It doesn't always work because you got, really savvy owners that, nope, not willing to, knowing prospects take some time, but like I'm in complete agreement on this one. He was minor league player of the month in April, hit 287. Like he showed off this really good ability to hit early on. And then he fell into some slumps while they were having him move his position. He had, not to be Rafael Devers in this and like, you don't do it in season, but there was just a lot this team was asking of him. He struggled with the secondary stuff against like breaking and off speed pitches. He was kind of a fastball hitter. I think they're going to retool, get the confidence back up. This is a guy that, made the team. He succeeded early, and then he struggled, they're going to let him reset, get the positional stuff maybe every single day. His big focus doesn't need to be playing some other position. They're going to clear out some roster space on here. And none of that actually matters for Dynasty. That's all just conjecture of this season. What a great situation you can be in if you kind of stink a little bit is like if you have a great team, there's a high team that is, making a playoff push and you are maybe building or playing for next year and they have Campbell. It's a perfect opportunity to sell some pieces that help someone now buy on Campbell to an owner that's frustrated. There's just a lot of pieces in there of why a trade can make sense, or at least why you can do some exploratory looking at Kristian Campbell in Dynasty.
And quick correction before the YouTube comments come out of the woodwork. He was Rookie of the Year in April, not Minor League Player of April. So I hear you. I know.
Oh, Rookie. Yeah. I see how I said that.
It's okay. I don't apologize. I'm fluent in Welsh. Okay. Some people still are learning the language. I have my Duolingo sent for Spanish. And
I was
Welsh.
thinking
That's
he was the Minor League Player of the Year last year in all of baseball.
You Welsh
and that got into my brain here. Yes.
Combined it in there. I love it. All right. One more thing you should combine into your brain is the performance of Edward Cabrera the last 2 months. Because it's been awesome. As bad as it was in April, where he had a 7.42 ERA. If you go look at the month of May, in 5 starts, he was 2-0 with 28 strikeouts and 8 walks, a 2 ERA and a 1.19 whip. So far in June, over 3 starts, 13 innings, 15 strikeouts, 7 walks, a 2.75 ERA. Basically, since April, he's been a 2.5 ERA pitcher. And there's a chance Edward Cabrera could end up somewhere else. I know he's still controllable, but the Marlins are the Marlins. They don't make a lot of good decisions. And at any point, Edward Cabrera could be somebody that another team is looking at. But regardless, Welsh, this turnaround has been exquisite. And I think he is still a guy you could probably buy, considering his ERA is sitting at 3.81. Yeah, he's been really good the last couple of months, but I wonder if fantasy managers are even noticing sometimes because the negativity always attached with Cabrera. To me, this is the perfect sneaky purchase right now, while the last 6-7 starts have been really great for him. And who knows if he ends up on a contending team, how good he could be.
I'd really love him if he was on another team. I don't know if I'm as confident as you in buying him in a world that speculates he's going to be. Like Sandy, I think, is going to get traded, regardless of what they're telling us right now. I think Sandy is going to get moved. That gives me a little bit more confidence. I'm just not sure Edward Cabrera does. That doesn't mean like what he's not doing isn't, solid. Like he is putting up like 2 fantastic months. One thing that's really weird about the Marlins, I'm noticing, it seems like there's some like organizational change because you had these guys. You had Sandy Alcantara, who's like a big primary high usage changeup guy. And you had Cabrera last year who threw his changeup 33% of the time, number 1 pitch. It's still his number 1 pitch, but the usage is down to 24. So what I'm saying is you got these guys with these great changeups that they're lowering the usages of, which I don't understand why. It has made him a little bit, Edward Cabrera, a little bit more successful this year. Higher whiff rates on his curveball and slider, as those look like at least his slider usage has gone way up. Curve is about the same. I guess what I'm getting at is it seems like there might be a little bit of an organizational like pitching change, and I wonder the long-term effects of that. I just don't want Edward Cabrera with the Marlins. I'm cool with buying him because I think his name value, like you said, is pretty low right now, and he's performing at a high clip. I would love it if he was on another team. I'm just not sold it's going to happen. But, if he can be had for kind of next to nothing because of his team context, we're there. But long-term, I have some questions about Cabrera.
All right, before we get to the guys to sell, don't forget to use the trade analyzer if you want to instantly evaluate trades and how they benefit your team. Make sure you're using the trade analyzer, only available at FantasyPros Baseball My Playbook or fantasypros.com/MLB My Playbook. The trade analyzer is the tool you need to make informed trade decisions. So download the Fantasy Baseball My Playbook app wherever you get your apps and use the trade analyzer in all of your deals today. Sell high. The first one, again, is more of a principle thing. I love the player. I know Welsh does too. Jeremy Pena's had a great season, hitting 326 on the year, and over his last 30 games, he's hitting over 360. I just think that's going to come back down to earth a little bit. I don't think he's a 360 hitter necessarily, but it's been a great run for him regardless. I'm not selling him for nothing, Welsh, but looking at right now where he is in terms of trajectory, do I think he's going to slug 566 like he has over the last 30 days? I don't know about that. I think that maybe we get a little bit of a letdown here, especially the longer Alvarez is not in that lineup, the less protection there is. I think eventually people start looking at Pena as let's not let that guy beat us. And I think things might come down to earth. So again, this is just a matter of regression, not trying to give him away, but this is his peak value. So on principle, I'm at least shopping him to see what I might be able to bring back from my squad.
This is a tough one for me because I don't disagree with what you're saying. I do not believe he's going to end the year as a 330 hitter and he's just going to keep building and building. I think there's regression is like, it's going to come in.
Right.
But my
ask the Mets
be,
pitching staff.
Sure. But what does regression look like? Sometimes regression looks like complete failure. And sometimes regression is just tiny little bitty bits. And it doesn't really affect. So like my point is the number one WARD shortstop. His name value is really high. If somebody wants to pay for him as this almost 30 hitter, and he's going to hit 25 and he's going to steal 30 and he's going to be a second round player, and someone wants to pay at a really, really high cost, I am going to listen. But the idea to trade him because he's going to regress makes him less valuable. I just don't think I don't think the regression is going to decimate the awesome value and the production you're going to get. So if it's like Jeremy Pena, I'll give you a little bit more for him. I'm trying to think of like good proper names in trades. I just don't think, regardless of how valuable he is in real baseball, it's like top 5 in WAR in baseball, number 1 shortstop WAR, tied with Bobby Witt Jr. He's incredible. I just don't know the trade numbers that are going to come your way are going to make sense regardless of whatever that regression looks like, because his hitting profile is just better across the board. He's striking out less, he's walking more, he's making higher quality of contact, he's hitting over 300 against breaking and off-speed pitches, and he is pulling the ball a little bit more. So that regression might be he doesn't hit 330, but he hits 290. And 290 is still really, really valuable. So I got to get a haul if I'm going to consider Jeremy Pena. So I'm pushing back on this one kind of on my principle, but it makes sense what you're saying.
He's got to hit a drop off now of 30 points in batting.
Yeah, that's
going to be tough.
But
that's going to take its toll on your fantasy team if you have him during that stretch, is what.
But if that 290,
the best run out of him.
Okay, but if that 290 is like he just hits for more power, but the batting average goes down and stuff, that's what it could happen. But again, we're talking about a 330 double digits homer and stolen base guy, and you can sell WAR on people. If you can do it, you should listen, because the best parts of Jeremy Pena may have already happened this season.
All right, Jonathan Aranda's best parts have definitely been at home this year. 369 batting average with a 961 OPS. On the road, 255 batting average, much different player. A 797 OPS. That's a huge chasm, almost 200 points difference there. So let's talk about Jonathan Aranda, because the Rays are going to be road warriors this summer based on the way the schedule has been laid out here in the July and August period. That could be a problem for Aranda. Again, maybe we've seen the best of him so far in 2025 at the front end of the season. Welsh, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. The interesting thing was it felt very platoony with him as well. That might be gone, because it's a very short sample size, only like 50 at-bats he's had against lefties, but he is hitting 280 against lefties this year. But of note, there isn't really a lot of impact. So like, even if he were to start playing a few more games, he has no homers versus lefties. He has almost no doubles. It's actually kind of crazy with the numbers. Look down there. Batting average drops a little bit. And then you do have this really dramatic home road split. This is one of those where it's like, if Jonathan Aranda becomes a 280, 270 hitter, he doesn't have enough really impact. Like we're talking about, like with Jeremy Pena or just a lot of other players, the impactful stats I'm not sure are going to look super great. They are still playing platoon, little platooning with him. That I think with how high he just ranks everywhere, because the websites that you guys play on, they kind of overvaluate batting average if you're in categories sometimes. So, like Jacob Wilson becomes like a top 15 player, but Aranda hitting 325 is going to rank really high. He's got a high batting average. He's got some homers. If you go to Fangraphs, WAR is going to rank. And my point is he's just kind of high up there that I think you can sell off of him. And I don't hate this at all from him not playing versus lefties and playing more on the road. That if I think I would get out from Jonathan Aranda, even though he has been very consistent all year.
All right, let's talk about one more guy that is on his way back and returning for the Cubs. And Shota Imanaga was great last year. I was a big supporter of his, but I always say that when a guy's returning from an injury, Welsh, that's when his value is at its peak, right? Because he hasn't really done anything yet. He's all just hope and glory, and everything is just rosy right now. But everything wasn't rosy for Shota Imanaga before he went on the IL. Over his first 44 innings of the season, he was pretty rough. His K per 9 was at 6.85, way lower than last year's 9 mark. His walks per 9 were at 2.82, way higher than last year's 1.45 mark. His ERA was at 2.82, but his expected ERA was 4.64. He had a 4.53 FIP and a 4.83 xFIP. To me, if you haven't had Imanaga for a while, and it's been a while since he's pitched, he has a lot of value in the trade market. He pitches for the Cubs. He had coming off a great year last year. But if you found the Mizorowskis or a couple other guys off the waiver wire, the Chris Bubiches or some guys like that have really filled the spots for you in your rotation, and you don't need Imanaga, this is the time to trade him based off of what he was doing before he went on the IL. What do you think about dealing Imanaga right now?
Yeah, I'm kind of open to this. I got to see him pitch in rehab. It was one of the hottest days ever out here. It was like 108 at like 10 a.m. and he was pitching out here in Complex and rehabbing. And, he was very, very efficient going up against these really young guys, pitching to a lot of contact though. And, there was a few really hard hit balls that I wonder when you start to take that over into the major leagues, what that made me think was maybe that low K percentage was kind of reality to him. And you see those expected ERA numbers that kind of stare at you. If Shota Imanaga is a sub like 22, 23 K percentage guy, I don't love that. I'm not really super excited about that. His walks were up. The reason the expected numbers are up is because he was giving up a lot of barreled contact, and the expected batting average against the 3 major pitch types he throws were all higher than what was actually given up. So there is this weird state of like, him kind of expanding in a bad way on his stats and getting, I don't want to say getting blown up, but maybe a tiny bit. It's actually not a bad idea. There's so many pitching injuries out there. Mm-hmm. He's about to come back on a great team. People might kind of forget some of that and just go, oh, great, I can get the second half of Imanaga. You might be able to get fair value, and fair value for Imanaga has just moved him up because so many pitchers have fallen off the list. Yeah, I think I am definitely open to consolidating, and specifically into the scenario you said where you maybe have really hit gold in some spots and you have a solid rotation. Maybe you could really finish out your team and sell high on Shota Imanaga.
Drop your comments below. Are you buying or selling Shota Imanaga? And your comment might just win you a Cecil Fielder autographed jersey from Pristine Auction. If you subscribe to Fantasy Bros MLB, drop your comment and like this video. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.